Today is Monday, June 18th, and I'm your host, Paula Hersey. On today's show, we learn about a medical interpreter program at Cape Cod Community College, and we celebrated Flag Day with the students at West Villages Elementary. First, a look at today's weather. Summer weather continues into this week. Today, hazy sunshine, breezy, warm, a bit humid, highs in the 70s and lower 80s. A late day or evening shower thunderstorm is possible. Let's start with some news you can use. House Minority Leader Bradley Jones Jr. announced his appointment of Representative Will Crocker to the Conference Committee on an act to promote and enhance civic engagement. The committee will review the House and Senate versions of the bill and come up with a compromise piece of legislation, which will then be sent to the governor's desk for his signature. The House bill would also create a Civics Project Trust Fund to help pay for curriculum and professional development and establishes an annual high school voter challenge to promote voter registration and pre-registration at high schools. This is Representative Crocker's first conference committee appointment since being elected to the legislature in 2016. It is not usually custom to appoint freshman legislators to a conference committee, but given Representative Crocker's prior experience as a civics teacher, Minority Leader Jones felt that this would be a unique opportunity for Representative Crocker to share his firsthand knowledge on the topic. Medical interpreters enable accurate cross-cultural communication of information from one language to another in healthcare contexts. We learn about this certificate program at Cape Cod Community College. With me today are two folks from Cape Cod Community College. We have Lisa Morris, who is the coordinator for the Medical Interpreter Certificate Program, and Donna Walker, who is an admissions counselor. Bon dia.
Ah, bon dia.
So I have mastered one word or phrase for this program.
That's right.
But this is a really unique program here at Cape Cod Community College, which is the Medical Interpreter Certificate Program. Lisa, I'm going to ask you, how and why did this program get started?
Well, this program got started back in 1998, and it was a one-course program at the time. The college decided that it was necessary to put this program into place because there was a hospital interpreter coordinator, and he decided that he needed more help on the Cape and in the health centers. So with his allegiance and with a group, it was a multicultural coalition, they decided that we could implement. So I was teaching for another program, and they brought that program, which was the Area Health Education Center program, in-house.
Excellent. And when we talk about medical interpreter, I'm going to ask you just a little bit, we're going to get to Donna in a bit about how to get into this program, but the certificate program itself is something that is needed in our hospitals, in our health centers, because of the population that's been growing in diversity here on Cape Cod. So talk a little bit about the student.
Okay.
Who comes into this particular program?
Predominantly at Cape Cod Community College, we get students that speak either Spanish or Portuguese. We have had other students, a few, that spoke Russian, Haitian Creole, Italian, Farsi. However, like I said, we recruit predominantly for Portuguese and Spanish. They can be actual current students in the community college community that are taking other health science programs like medical assistant program or dental assistants or nursing, and they want to have this added skill on their resume, which looks great to an employer here on the Cape when they want to have someone that they can seek the bilingual skills in the healthcare field.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about admissions. So we know what type of student might come into this certificate program. How do you as an admissions counselor identify and then almost vet that this person is for this certificate
Program.
Yeah.
Yes. Actually, as they come in and they identify that they'd like to do the program, we will actually work with them to understand how long the program is, the number of credits available within the program. And then I'll have them be in contact with Lisa. Lisa and I will either try to do an information session, which we've done jointly with some other certificate programs, and we've done individual information sessions. And at that point, Lisa will determine the time to meet with them to do a written and an oral exam with the person to test their language abilities. And part of that is both for the language that they'd like to do this program for, as well as English ability. My job within the admissions office is to then work with them to get any kind of documentation. That documentation would include their high school transcript and perhaps any college credit that they've taken either here or abroad. Many of the students who come to us tend to be from abroad, and even if they have U.S. citizenship, their documentation is from abroad. And so we have a process that they need to go through, which many of our international students will go through. It's to provide a translated version of that documentation, send that to one of the agencies that we use, and they do an evaluation of it, and then send that evaluation to us. That part of the process can take a while. Depending on the agency, we use one in Boston, which is the Center for Educational Documentation, CED, or it could be WES, which is out of New York, and WES is the World Education Services. They can do one of those two places, and depending on those agencies, it can take anywhere from 3 to 6 months.
Wow.
Right.
Right.
So we recommend the one in Boston, CED, because they tend to be a little bit quicker for students
Right.
who are applying.
Right. And this is the student's responsibility, is to
That
get
is
this
correct.
documentation. And really what that is, and I want to make sure that we understand this, is that it's to kind of match up, here's what our course here is in America, here's what you took overseas in your homeland, and do they match in some way, shape, or form, or do you have to take that class here again?
Right. Well,
Okay.
there is that piece to it. If there is a possibility that we can bring any kind of credit in from the college or university, we will attempt to do that as well.
Oh, great. Internationally, that's fantastic. So we know the student, they're usually possibly bilingual. Have to be bilingual, right? And then, do they have to be in the healthcare fields?
No, students do not have to come from the healthcare field. We provide them all the necessary tools in the certificate program. One of those extra tools to become more familiar with the healthcare field is medical terminology. That's one of the courses necessary to be part of the program, as well as survey of anatomy and physiology. 2 courses that can be taken even before they enroll in the program if they wish, because they are requirements in the program, as well as Medical Interpreter 1 once they're enrolled, Medical Interpreter 2, and then the final course is what we call the practicum, which is an internship type of experience in one of the healthcare facilities on the Cape or beyond, depending on the student and their language skills and what we can provide to help them. If they speak Russian, I had to once send a student to do their internship at Beth Israel Hospital because that was the most volume and opportunity for her to practice her skills as a medical interpreter. The practicum, I have to say, is the most loved piece of the program by all the students because they really realize what it takes to be an interpreter, what I taught them in class, where it has meaning, and how they can perfect their skills on the job.
Right. And what do you see as stumbling blocks for some of these folks coming into this program, or it seems like it's very cut and dry. You speak 2 languages, you can do this, but that's not necessarily the case.
The biggest stumbling block is getting the documentation.
Okay.
It really is.
Right.
And we will do whatever we can to help them direct that documentation to one of the agencies that we use, and to make sure that if the documentation comes back to them, they can't open it. They have to bring it directly to the admissions office so that we can then make sure it's official,
Right.
and we move from there. There is a price for each of those agencies, and so we'll try and help them understand what that can entail. There's no price to apply for the program here.
Right. And as an admissions counselor, what's the job outlook here? I mean, there's quite a few jobs out here on Cape Cod. You would
I would
think
say,
that,
yeah.
But we have a very diverse community.
We do have a very diverse community, and what's happening within the healthcare profession in general, it's exploding. I mean, we received over a $2 million grant from Cape Cod Healthcare, and that's being used to expand much of what we're able to offer. our students, improve our labs, improve our facilities. So we see this as kind of a growing trend here on the Cape, and as we're all aging in place, there's more and more need for healthcare professionals of all variety. And so we've got not only the medical interpreter, but medical assisting, diagnostic technician, RN nursing, and then the combined program with UMass Boston, which is the RN to BSN.
And these students are going to work where? What?
Most of these students leave us and they start working either because of their internship right in the facilities where they started as per diems. Per diem is the road to the next step of either a part-time or full-time position. They also work as freelancers for a variety of different agencies, including the opportunity for over the phone, or what we call VRI, which is video remote interpreting. So there are companies nationally that hire students to do interpreting, so you can do it from the luxury of your home if you're lucky enough.
Right, and give me a typical day of what one of these students would be on the job. What happens when they are at work?
So if they're in a health center, basically they're there to support the needs of the bilingual patients, give them access to care, and to provide not only that access for the patient, but also for the providers who speak to patients and sometimes feel that there's something missing, even though they speak enough English to be dangerous at times. That little link could be the hitch to getting them the treatment that they need, and the doctor didn't realize that was what was going on with their trying to practice their English with a clinician, or vice versa, when clinicians try to practice their high school or college Spanish or Portuguese with the patients.
So that really brings me to the point that we can wrap this up with, is that these medical interpreters, especially on the patient side, when you're sick, you're scared. So you revert back to your native language a lot of the times, and it's very difficult to get what you need out.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. The thought process gets hindered.
Exactly. Anything else you want to tell us about the program?
I think it's a phenomenal program, and we obviously want people to know that this exists. So the more that we can promote this, people understand what the process is. You can talk with me, you can talk with Lisa. We're more than happy to walk people through this process.
Fantastic.
Yeah. The other thing I want to say is that it can also be a spring pad for an international student to start, or even a person who's not international, to start their career as a medical interpreter. And then I've had students who connect the dots and become medical assistants, and then go on to nursing. And I even have one who is at the point of possibly pursuing a physician's assistant program. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I would imagine you're learning an enormous amount about the medical field with this interpretation. You're coming across all sorts of scenarios of illness and those types of things as well. Well, that's a fantastic program at Cape Cod Community College.
It is.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in and talking to us today.
Thank you, Paula.
Thank you.
Is there a better way to celebrate Flag Day than with a school filled with sweet voices, proud parents, and kindergartners signing America the Beautiful?
an annual day specifically celebrating the flag is believed to have first originated in 1885. A school teacher in Wisconsin arranged for the students in Bedford in Wisconsin Public School District 6 to observe June 14th as Flag Birthday because it was the 108th anniversary of the official adoption of the flag of the United States. On June 14th, 1889, a kindergarten teacher in New York City planned appropriate ceremonies for the children of his school, and his idea of observing Flag Day was later adopted by the State Board of Education of New York. On June 14th, 1891, the Betsy Ross House in Philadelphia held a Flag Day celebration, and on June 14th, the following year, the New York Society of the Sons of the Revolution celebrated Flag Day. Inspired by these 3 decades of state and local celebrations, Flag Day was officially established by the proclamation of President Woodrow Wilson on May 30th, 1916. While Flag Day was celebrated in various communities 2 years after Wilson's proclamation, it was not until August 3rd, 1949, that President Truman signed an act of Congress designating June 14th of each year as National Flag Day. Flag Day, however, is not an official federal holiday. It is at the President's discretion to officially proclaim the observance on June 14th, 1937. Pennsylvania became the first U.S. state to celebrate Flag Day as a state holiday. New York marks the second Sunday in June as Flag Day, a state holiday. On June 14th, 2017, President Trump, who was born on Flag Day, proclaimed Flag Day and Flag Week. The week of June 14th is now known as National Flag Week. During Flag Week, the President will ask all U.S. citizens to fly the American flag all week. The flag will also be flown over Manhattan.
Good afternoon, boys and girls.
Good afternoon.
It's really a pleasure to be here. Looking at all these shining faces up here makes this bright blue sunny sky even more beautiful. It's a real pleasure to be here with you today and to present this flag to you. This flag is a very special flag. It was flown over the capital of the United States in Washington, D.C. And if you don't know where that is, ask your teachers, because they will certainly tell you by the time you're out of here. The flag was flown over the Capitol and then was taken down, and it was delivered to Hyannis, and the Boy Scouts from Troop 54 took charge of the flag and held it until the Memorial Day ceremonies at the JFK Memorial. At that time, the boys delivered it to the JFK Trust Fund Committee, and we have kept it in our good care so that we could pass this flag on to you. So it's a great pleasure that we present this flag to you and make sure that once this flag is flying out there, every time you go by there, just know that this flag was especially flown over the Capitol for you, and tell your parents and your friends and everybody else about the flag, because it's a grand old flag. And I'm going to present this
afternoon. My name is Lynn Poyant, and I'm the chair of the JFK Memorial Trust Fund Committee, and I want you all to give yourselves a big round of applause. You are outstanding. You are shining like stars, and I want to thank Ms. Barth from her organization because this is really one of the most spectacular Flag Day events that we've been to. This is my favorite day of the year, to come and see such pride and just your voices. I can't tell you what it does to me. It really does my heart good. And I have never seen such a spectacular program, individually colored. And I want to thank Bella for mine. She did a fantastic job. I'm here to present our 2018 scholarship recipient, Devin McDonald. And every year, the Barnstable High School gives us 3 students that we have to interview. It's a very tough job because they really give us outstanding students. But we knew that we were onto something with Devin, and then last week, on the front page of the Cape Cod Times, whose picture is there? 4-color above the fold, but Devin. So he, as a sophomore, started an environmental club at Barnstable High School. And as Mr. Gibbons told you, he's a graduate of West Villages. So just so you know, the sky is the limit for you too. And I'm going to turn this over to Devin, and he's going to tell you a little bit about himself. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Believe it or not, 12 years ago, I was sitting right where you are now. It seems like just yesterday that I was walking through the mural halls of West Villages, back when it was still called Marston's Mills East. Each day, my elementary school principal would start out the day with the same words. Make it a great day or not, the choice is yours. Over the years, I've done my fair share of homework assignments, after-school projects, and dreaded tests. But what has really mattered in the long run is taking his words to heart. Taking the time to discover both what I love to do and what I love to learn so that I can make each day a great one. Striving to be the best you can be, both inside and outside of school, will lead you to success. But it is just as important to pursue your own individual passions. Finding for yourself what you love to do is the best way to make a difference in the world. One of the things I've done as a Barnstable High School student was to create a club at the high school so kids could work together to take care of our local environment. Last week we built a small vernal pool wetland for salamanders, frogs, and other small creatures to live, and for students to have a place to study that natural habitat. I know through your passion, determination, and hard work, you will all be able to make a positive impact in our community and the world. Thank you.
Here's a look at our community calendar. Join Long Pasture and Barnstable Land Trust naturalists to explore the tidal flats of Barnstable Harbor on June 20th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. This interactive walk will focus on the various fish, birds, and invertebrates of the tidal ecosystem. Participants are advised to wear weather-appropriate clothing and shoes or boots that can get wet. Here's our meeting schedule for this week. I'm Paula Hersey, and thank you for watching Barnstable Today.